So what's up, everybody? Today I was just going to show you something I had planned and laid out for the upcoming week or so. So I wanted to build my own computer. I already built like one, but that was just with Best Buy parts in the case. I wanted to do one sort of from the ground up. So not buying any parts or cases, pre-built cases at Best Buy. So my idea was having it styled off of old 80s computers, like portable computers, like the Macintosh. But this one would be like shaped like a mini terminal. So it would have the screen, disk drives, and keyboard all built into one small thing like this. So my original idea of powering this thing was with a small laptop battery I got, which outputted about 7.9 volts, almost 8 volts. And I used the motherboard for that initially in the first run, but in my attempt to make a power button for that computer, it fried. So I decided to throw away those laptop parts in the battery, and so I decided to use a Raspberry Pi. And it was Raspberry Pis are okay, but it's smaller than what I had initially, the iPhone sized motherboard for the laptop. So the Raspberry Pi was a lot smaller and easier to like put into a case, so I decided, why not, I'll just use that. Probably emulate some old Windows software. I'll just have some Linux server version, which would just have a terminal, nothing fancy like a desktop or nothing. So this was my initial design. The floppy drive and CD drive both use old version cable, the big ribbon cable. So my first attempt was using that big motherboard that I had from an old Windows XP PC, which I was able to get DOS running on there using a floppy disk. But unfortunately, that motherboard was very old, and the USB drivers started to not function. So what happened was I had to throw that whole thing away, couldn't use it anymore. And so now I just intend on using Raspberry Pi with the USB drivers. I'll show another picture of the second draft I made of this. This one's the first one that I only had on hand. My initial idea was with the laptop motherboard, I would get one of these weird SSD chips that would have a bunch of SATA hard drive cables you could plug into hard drives and whatnot. Then I would have used an adapter for the big floppy drive, put that through an adapter and put it into there. That's all a lot to power on just an 8-volt battery, which was the initial idea. But now the power supply is being lowered down to 5 volts for the Raspberry Pi. So I doubt that I can actually be able to do all this now, the floppy drive and the disk drive, which I'm okay with, but I would have liked that. So maybe in the future, when I actually get a hold of good vintage computer parts that use IDE, which is the old style of cables for these drives, then I might be able to try to do something like this. But first, it's just something very rudimentary, something very simple. And then this here, I was going to say, this was my idea for a speaker. So you'd have a little speaker here, headphone jack, and a little volume knob there. So the initial idea was we have a small keyboard here that would plug straight into the motherboard. Can't do that now, so we're just going to stick with a wireless keyboard. This was the only one I could get on short notice. Small Logitech keyboard. I think it's like 10 inches long. So my idea is just having the terminal be at least just like the size or the length of this laptop. Keyboard. So with that now as like the ideal width of this computer is going to be, everything else can be laid out. I'll show the picture of the layout for the Raspberry Pi and the battery, which is also going to be used for the power button since the battery has its own built-in power button or turn-on button. I don't know. So I'll let you guys know how this turns out. I'll post another video in a few days or something. All you have a good day. I'll be stuck here charging. It's been about almost an hour. Definitely gone over the limit, but hey, have a good one.